Hi everybody, and a very warm welcome back to the new Sandling Junction build. Now, in this particular episode, I wanted to do something a little different to the norm, and I wanted to use the Creality Falcon 2 Pro in a new project, and one that for once, without having to rely on other people to help me out, I wanted to design something myself. And so with my rudimentary skills both in Lightburn and also in Inkscape, I came up with a plan to create my own platform and platform siding. Now, I know that you can buy an enormous array of different kits out there, including the ones that I used in my original Sandling Junction, such as these Pico ones, and they work fine. And what I've produced probably won't be too much better, or is it better at all? I don't know. I just wanted to create something myself that was start to finish me. It's start to finish whatever it was down to me, and not rely on a product created by somebody else or even designed by somebody else. So I sat down and I scratched my head a few thousand times, and I came up with the first design, which if I got it to hand I will happily show you. Don't look too hard, but that was my first iteration of this whole thing, and it was a bit of a disaster, I've got to say. Everything was too thick, too clunky. The idea was there, but it just wasn't working out. The proudest part of this for me was the fact that any of it went together at all, and the fact that I created my own brick pattern in Inkscape and transferred that through Lightburn into the Creality Falcon 2. So I was really proud of that. But I wanted to go and do a second iteration, get it right, and do a lot more thought behind the design and make sure things worked as they should do. This is going to probably be a little mini series. It's going to be punctuated with episodes of Sandling Junction, so fear not, I'm not going to shelve anything out there. In fact, I'm working on the next video, episode 10, right now. But I wanted to get this out to you so that you can appreciate what's going on, what I've done, and the fact that I had the original idea for myself and I've sort of created that, but I've decided to make so much more of it and create a complete diorama based around my original design. So let's crack on, let's see how it all turns out, and don't forget, if you've got any thoughts about it, put them in the comments section. I love to read them. And if you're not a subscriber and you like the content that I'm doing, please don't hesitate to subscribe. It really doesn't cost you anything to do that, but it does help my channel grow, reach a wider audience, and so many more people get to see some of my cock-ups. No, a lot more people get to see what's going on with Sandling Junction, past and present and future. So yeah, comments, like, subscribe, all those things, and get a cup of tea and enjoy what's going to go down right now. Catch you all soon. Okay everybody, and a warm welcome back. Now I've got the computer screen open and you can see the camera is showing you the bed with my project superimposed over the bed. Now the material that I'm engraving on is not yet installed. I'll do that in a moment. I just wanted to show you what we had going on. This is the camera view and this is the live view. I really wanted to do something from the ground up myself, and the one thing I thought of is that many of the sidings for platforms are very individual around the country, and no more so than at Sandling Junction, where I think it's majority of the brickwork there is Old English cross bond, or I think it's Dutch bond, but mainly called English bond. And that's where you have a row of stretchers and a row of headers sort of going all the way down, and that's what I created, and I created that on my own. I did have a lesson from Julian a few months ago, but which was very kind of him, but I've remembered all that he taught me. I created my own bond and I've put it into Lightburn, and I've created the right sizes, And as I said just now, if I haven't already shown you, Mark 1 was an absolute disaster. And I'll put my hand to that, and you will see it in the course of this video at some point. But it gave me the idea to continue and to rectify the problems and to sort them out. Even this may be Mark 2, but it may not be the final iteration, as I think of more ways to do things a little better. The reason being is that this is going to be cut out of 2mm Medite MDF. That's laser grade MDF board. But I don't want these ones out the same material. Otherwise it would be too far into the area of the trains and it wouldn't work. So what I'm doing here is I created again a fill and a line, i.e. this time in green and blue, so I can tell which is which. And these will be turned off for this first burn, and then the second lot will be cut out of Picture Framer's mount board, which is 1.4mm. And I've go back to here to the camera. I'm going to update. In fact, it's already done it live. You can see that board in. If I put my hand in, you can see my hand waving to you. And all I'm going to simply do is frame this. And in fact, what I can do even easier, I can update the outlay. Now I can see exactly where that part of the project is, and it really does need to move back a little bit, I think, to make sure that it will fit on. So this is the second go that I created, and I had to think about making something that I could do a certain length of platform edging, and with all the corresponding pieces that I needed, including one each of these at one end and one the other. And of course I had to make two, because there are two sides normally to a platform. So the first one was just me having a go, see what I could produce. So the second one is here. Now this is all measured out, and it's all coming apart because it's very, very nicely cut through. And I actually created tabs on these. Now I am breaking these apart, but I should take a little more care. After the recommendation of somebody else, I literally added tabs. So I'm going to cut all these tabs out. Then I'll come back. I need a sharper blade as well. I'll come back when that's done, and we can have a look at all the parts to this kit. Okay, so it is pretty important that when you come to do your design that you actually add these tabs. You can add them where you like, but they are pretty essential. I fell foul of that before, and as pieces fell through the grid, they got secondary burns, as it were, and destroyed them. So the tabs are really essential to apply. And for me as a picture framer and artist, as many of you already know, I do have access to a lot of offcuts of this mount board. So for me it's a marvelous product to be able to use on a laser engraver. Now I have just had another little thought. I am going to push that just ever so slightly, the same on this one, ever so slightly, because that's already going off fast, like that. Okay, the reason being that I want to have a bit of a backing for this. So how far forward can I push that? And I've just got to add in a little bit on the other end. I don't want that to appear above. I think that's probably nice, just to give that an extra little bit of support on the back end of this one. Okay, so what I decided to do was to extend the little bits of wood on the back to simply support the ends of the platform. It's not perfect, and it may be that I need to think again on how I design that aspect so that the platform ends have a lot more support on them. Now I do need those extra pieces, and I shall show you why in a moment, but I'm going to first and foremost just tack some glue along the top here. Now I pretty much use Aleene's tacky glue for almost everything, but I found that these finer areas with this little bit of corbelling on the top of the walls was just a little bit too heavy. So I actually went over to the card glue, the rocket card glue, and it was a little easier. I actually did quite like it. I've never used it before, but it was easy to apply and actually worked very, very well. Not sure about that long snake-like applicator, and I think that is almost certainly just a once off, once used and throw it in the bin. So I'm not quite sure how I will progress when I come to do the next one. The extra little pieces that I'd engraved were ideally suited because then I could cut them down and do the runoffs down the side of the platform ends, and there is a thick piece and a thin piece, so you get a double thickness of corbelling on the top of each of the platforms, and that also extends the top facing, so you get that little bit of extra I don't know, edging towards a platform that suggests that you are getting close, a little bit of white strip or yellow strip, and that will allow enough of that. You can see as I turn the platform over, there is sufficient width. I think with the two pieces of card that I've applied to each one and the thickness of the overall 2mm timber, you've got something like a 5mm piece of sort of platform that you can paint up in advance of putting the top on, and that way you get a lovely white line or yellow line or whatever. Here I'm just putting in the small pieces of retaining walls, as it were, the extra pillars that you often see, and they also cover up the joints where the platform ends actually are and look quite good. Made out of the same material so that they end up out at the same depth and no wider into the area where the trains will be. Okay, there we go. I am really pleased with the outcome, and we've only gone so far in this video at the moment. How much more I fit into this video, I do not know, but here's my plan. What I've got to do now is I'm going to take a straight line with this. I was thinking about curving it and making it a bit fancy, and indeed that will happen when I put these together and create them in one big long unit for my Sandling Junction build. But for this demonstration, I just wanted to see how they turned out, and I gotta say, I'm not unhappy. I really think they've come out and turned out very, very well, and when they're all weathered up and looking good, I think they're going to be the business. So what I'm going to do is, as I said, I'm going to make these a mini platform. Let's just say take it to about 2.5–3 inches wide. And for that purpose, then I'm going to go off now and I'm going to redesign and cut some timber on the laser cutter that will work as a top and that will slot in here. I'm also going to cut some cross members absolutely square to fit down here and also down through here to support this section and this section moving forward. And then if there's time, once it's weathered and made and what have you, I'm going to put it on a little bit of a base and put a little bit of rail down each side, weather it up a little bit, and yeah, just make a little mini diorama as a display and as an achievement for my first ever designed project on my Creality Falcon 2 Pro. Really am chuffed that I actually created the brick, the texture, the whole thing, and albeit I've had 2 goes at it, but Rome wasn't built in a day. Hi everybody, and a very warm welcome back. Now last time out you saw me put together my design for a platform siding with all the corbelling and the piers and everything else in place. I was really pleased with the way that all turned out. Have to say it was an enjoyable experience taking the whole project from start to finish all off my own back, which is a bit of a win-win for me. But having done that, I just didn't want to leave it there really. I wanted to weather these up and make them look quite good. And I had the idea then to maybe make this a little mini series. Now I say a mini series, that all said and done, I had to then go and create some new stuff for this platform. It wasn't just sufficient to have 2 platform edges. They needed some infrastructure. So what I did, I went back to the Creality and I created a platform basically there, something like that, which would sit on here, and also the pieces to go on the end like that. On top of all of that, I then created a whole massive support system to go inside. Now you can see I've already started cutting some of these out, and you can see the burn marks here on the material. So it's all been done on 2mm. So I'm going to put this one, no, I'm actually going to put this out the way for the moment, because we don't need that. And I'm going to carry on cutting out and finishing off, getting all of these out and ready to start using. Okay, so on to the cutting out and sanding down of the main parts of the platform top, and also all those little angles and square pieces that I've designed to support that platform top once it's been installed. So all of those areas will go to serve to support the whole thing and make it much stronger. Okay, what I have here is a couple of old pieces of Hornby track, flexible track. I think this is flex, yeah, that's flex too. A couple of old pieces of Hornby flex which will do the job for me very well. So the idea now is to set this up in such a way that I've got a nice bit of space here to put the thing right in the middle, I think, and then I can have a little bit of space each side, so that if I want to photograph, I can actually manage to do that. So that's the plan. So let's just take these out of the way, because they're not going to be needed for some while. And let's just measure in on here and see where we are. I'm not exactly the best at getting organized, as you probably will tell. So I'm just coming, I was looking for a pencil and I can't find a pencil. Never mind. Let's just take that there and let's just see what we've got. Just over 3, sorry, so if I go 3 inches there, I think we've got about 3 there. So let's make this a 3-inch area there. Okay, so I hope that I've got this pretty much measured up dead center. It's not going to be absolute, but what I'm doing is building the whole of this on an odd piece of offcut board. This is a little bit left over from the Sandling Junction build when Julian was over last October and helping me build the table units. All I've done is glued a bead of tacky glue along, put the first wall on, and now I am applying the infrastructure with the little square just to make sure they are upright and correct. I actually can tell you now, I put them off a little bit wrong, so I pulled them up and re-glued them down. That's why you can see the odd bit of glue along ahead of where I'm working. So I'm not going to tell any lies. I did get it a little bit wrong, but I adjusted it all and I'm quite happy with the outcome. Now the thing is with this, that I did it before on the old Sandling Junction, but I used the plastic glue gun, the hot glue gun, and it was okay. It was messy and it was time consuming. I created a cobweb of many little bits of fine plastic everywhere which you had to get up, and it was annoying, not to mention all the burns along the way. But this seems so much easier. You give the laser a precise design to cut, and it cuts it as you want it, and any errors are down to you, not the machine. And I feel that the whole of this assembly is gone, or has gone, very well, including that top piece which I've just sat in there right now and checked it, and it works absolutely perfectly. I can't tell you how pleased I am with the outcome of this so far. Okay everyone, welcome back. Now picking up from where we left off last night, and I have taken the weights off of this, and it's as solid as a rock. It's going absolutely nowhere. This I think possibly moved out slightly. It's not a big deal, just needed a little bit more care from me and that would have been fine. But other than that, this is absolutely fine. It's a nice little platform. Now this is purely a diorama and is on an old piece of wood, and I've also said that you'd be better off, and maybe I should have done that for this as well, but is to make a little template just slightly wider than this, so it can be lifted on and off until you want to come and finally fix it. That way, if you do ever have a problem, you can lift it off and sort that problem out. Indeed, by having something that you can get underneath, you can put lights in. I suppose you still could put lights all the way through here and have them running under your baseboard, but I think if you've got something that can be lifted off the board and worked on elsewhere, such as this piece, then it's ideal. And yeah, I think it's just a good way of doing it. So my next job, just show you with these tops off, is to glue these tops in place, but I want to take these down a little bit. If you remember, I said that they were just, I mismeasured them here. It's a little error, but that will come out in the wash, I'm not too worried. Next time I come to laser one, I will just make that measurement again and just check it hard and fast. Just make a small mark through there. Same on this one in case there's any difference in anything at all. Okay, somehow I had actually mismeasured those end pieces of platform top. It wasn't significant, but it did need to have a small cut made to them to make them fit. While I was doing that though, I actually had to take off a little area just at the end. You can see me trimming down the odd little piece of wood just to make them sit in perfectly, and on the very flat end where it would touch the ground, I just used a craft knife just to chamfer off. The trouble is with a laser cutter, you cannot do a 45-degree cut or any other angle than a precise 90-degree. So anything like that has to be created by a knife, which is exactly what I've done. But I'm really pleased with the way that the whole thing has gone together, and that small measuring miss up has not gone too badly, and I've corrected my mistake. Now once again, I'm gluing this in. At any point during the course of making something like this, you don't have to go and glue everything up. I'm just doing it because I wanted to show you how I'm doing it, so that I can carry on with this diorama and bring that to a successful conclusion with weathering and all the other bits and pieces I need. There we go, quite happy with that. Gonna let that go off a little while. Any gaps, we can backfill those later on, that's not a big deal. So what I want to do now is just trim and measure out a couple of bits of track. Now these sidings are made for a track bed running through, so what I will do is I will just put a bit of track bed lining up here and here, maybe just to the end, something like that, and then I can literally mount these two pieces of track either side at some point once that's all dry. Okay, so now to get some track down. I am using some old Hornby flex track. I had this when I was doing the original layout called No Name Junction, and I've got boxes of track, both old and new, from Hornby that I've had for a long time. So watch out on a well-known auction site. You might see a sale come up very soon where I decide to get rid of all of that. But anyway, enough of all that. I've done a lot of testing. I've checked my wagons against the side of the platform. It was designed, or the platform was designed, to take a 3mm cork underneath the track bed. Now, in fairness, this is not code 75, and therefore the wagons and the coaches will sit slightly higher because of the track, the old Hornby track that I'm using. But having tested it all, I'm quite happy. I'm starting to glue with Copydex, put the cork down, and I will not wait for that to dry. In fact, it was so warm it was almost drying straight away. But I will put that down and put the rail that I've pre-trimmed ready on it directly. Now you'll notice here that I've gone from my coaches to an 08. I remember very harsh lessons I learned when I did the Ashford Station platform a long time ago on the old Sandling Junction. I spent so many days, weeks even, creating that platform siding, painting it all up, getting it all laid out, getting it all set down with the track, etc. All the work went in, and suddenly I realized when I come to play with trains, as it were, everything went round it perfectly except an O8 shunter. With those extra sort of hexagonal nuts on the side of the running links, it would not pass by the platforms that I created. I'd spent so much time making them so perfect, I actually overdone it and made them too perfect when it come to closeness to stock against the platform, that wouldn't go down. So I've allowed for that this time, and I will not be making that mistake again, I assure you. But with that done, the track is going down, and I'm getting to the point now where this can sit and set up, dry off completely, and next time we look at it, that I can start, as I said before, start weathering the whole thing down and adding the infrastructure to make it look like a proper little mini diorama. Now, I would say also that I would have done lots of painting ahead of time instead of leaving it till it's all glued together before I start the weathering process. But the first job I'm going to do with the whole thing is seal it off. That I feel is very essential before we start adding colours, paints, mixes, powders or anything else. Okay everybody, well I'm going to stop there on this video, and I've got all the weights on, it's all glued down, and I've got to be patient because if I try doing anything else right now I'm going to spoil it, and I've worked too hard so far to go and do that. And I just wanted to sort of create a bit of an interval, and I don't know if this is the end of part 1 or part 2 of this little diorama build. I know it's not the end of part 3, that's for sure, but I don't know how much time wise this has taken up in video time once I've edited it down to show you. So we've gone through the processes of the design and what I've done on the Creality Falcon 2 Pro. I've cut and laser cut all the parts for this platform, and I've done and glued all the edges to it, got it all assembled and all the infrastructure underneath that. So I think we've done quite a good job so far. At least I'm quite proud of myself for what I've done. And I know it's not going to be perfect, and I know there will be a lot of you out there who are very, very good with laser engravers who will say, oh, you should have done that, or you should have done that. Well, I will, and I learn as I go, as most of us do, and I hope that there won't be too many horrible things happening with this, and I think I've got it right. I've already mentioned that I wouldn't have put it directly to the wood, although really at the end of the day, if you're sure about what you're doing, you could do that. You could even drill through the whole thing and apply lighting if that's what you wanted to do. But for this purpose, as I said already, I think it works to be just glued down, and I can just get on and do other things. So in the next video, or the next part of this, then I'm going to start looking at color and the weathering. I'm going to start looking at the processes of creating the brick and making that brick stand out, look old, look weathered. Very similar to that I did on the railway bridge very recently on a recent video. And I'm going to do something on the top here and give it all a paint up. I'm going to do the track too, why not? Let's push the boat out and do the whole 9 yards. So I'm going to weather the track, and I'm going to add the ballast at some point and do the whole thing. And hopefully at the end of it I'll have a little mini diorama that will be nice to look at. I might put a little bit of back scene on it, just glue something along here that I can stand a little bit of low relief to. I don't know, I'm just having a bit of fun, but hopefully you guys are enjoying it so far. Let me know in the details underneath this and any other of the videos that you watch if you've got any comments to make or any suggestions to put in. I'll always read them, and you always know that I'm going to respond to them. So Please put your thoughts and your comments in the description underneath, or not in the comment section underneath this video. So until the next time, I'm going to start thinking about how I want to proceed with this, and you can join me in the next one. Now I think the next video may not be part 2 or even part 3 of this one. I think I need to slot in one on the build of Sandling Junction. Got a couple of things that I've been doing there, and I've got to throw my hands up to a huge mistake. It's not a bad one, but it's a schoolboy error. So I want to put my hands up to that, come clean and sort that one out. And so join me in the next one, which will be episode 10 of the Sandling build, and then we'll return to this one in the next episode after that, which will be continuing and putting the color and making something nice out of this little diorama. Catch you all soon. Enjoy your trains wherever you are. Stay safe, be happy, stay healthy. Take care everyone. Bye bye.